The views expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of this station.
Welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan, a WBKB News public affairs program. Insights deals with the issues affecting those in the community, as well as Northeast Michigan and the state. And now, Insights into Northeast Michigan.
Welcome to Insights, everyone. Today I'm here at ARMC for Nutrition Month, and my first guest is Melissa Tolan-Halleck. How are you?
I'm good.
Now tell us a little bit, what is Nutrition Month?
Nutrition Month is something that has been celebrated for years. And it's a really great opportunity for dietitians and nutrition experts to have a sounding board and be able to promote what they stand for. And so Nutrition Month, we at ARMC have a staff of dietitians and nutrition experts, and community health education also does a lot with nutrition. So this is a great opportunity for us to promote what we do all year, but really just celebrate that.
And I know for Nutrition Month, AMRC has a list of events and things going on. So what are some of those things that you're doing?
Some of the things that we're doing, the big thing that we're doing is that we pull our dietitians together, our nutrition experts, and we're going to do a nutrition taste walk, if you will. And we do community walks every month, but this one will be a little different because we're going to have 3 nutrition experts on this walk, and they will have tables set up along the way. So we're calling it a taste walk because there will be a taste of a healthy option and maybe something a little different that you haven't tried before, because that's really important also. We take this opportunity to expose people to new tastes and new foods that maybe they wouldn't have tried before. So we will be doing a taste walk on March 24th, and so you'll get to try different foods. You'll also get an opportunity of your blood pressure checked, to get lots of different nutrition information on those different foods, those different disease states such as diabetes, weight, cancer prevention, all of those types of things, cardiac rehab. So we'll be talking about that and having food samples, and then you can also get in your mile or 2-mile walk, and we're hoping to have options of walking outside on March 24th, but we'll have to see.
And I know that's really cool that you're going to have different foods for people to taste, because I know one of the main problems for eating healthy is people just don't want to try anything new.
Right. It is a problem. Change is hard for people. Change is hard for people, and especially when it comes to food, it's really enlightening to me when I do events in the community that often when we have a family come in, it's often the parents that say, oh no, he won't try that. And I think as parents we need to be really careful of that, because I think kids are coming up in a different generation where they're getting exposed to a lot of different foods than maybe some of our parents were. So it's good to expose our kids to different foods, not push them, but exposing them is a really great, and doing it in a community event or where there's peers around is a great way to do that. So we know that to get all the nutrients that we need in, we have to try different foods. We have to have different types of foods, different colors of food. So it's not just that we want you to try our food that we're cooking. There's a real reason behind that, a health reason why we should try different and new foods.
Now, what are some small, simple steps that every family can make to start trying new foods that are better and healthier for us?
Well, I think one thing that you can do is definitely include your children or include your spouse in the process. Because if you're the lone star in the household who wants to try new foods and try to really have a healthier lifestyle, if you're the only person doing that, then it begins to feel like a struggle, a challenge. But if you integrate the family, one thing I do is when I go grocery shopping on Sunday, before I leave, even if it's a quick statement before I leave the house, what's something that you want to try this week? So I'll ask my children, what's something you want to try? And sometimes it's something simple, like, well, I guess I'll try that new type of banana at Neiman's. But whatever it is, it's still them giving their voice, or letting them look in a cookbook and say, well, what looks good in here for you? Doesn't mean we're going to love it, but let's try it. So in doing that once a week, you can't expect to, or once a month if you have not done it at all. So your expectations have to be realistic with a family, and how often are you able to cook meals at home? So being realistic when you set that goal, but integrate your children, integrate your husband or your wife in the process. And in trying one new food, have a really comfortable meal, such as mac and cheese or grilled cheese, but then that's maybe when you'll try those asparagus spears with some balsamic vinegar. Just try one. You had your comfortable food, and you're not going to starve, but you can try one of these. that's a nice way to do it.
Yeah, so make sure they're being able to eat something that they love and then slip in that new food on the side.
Correct. And then the other thing is that we need to be hungry. Children especially need to be hungry when they come to the table if you expect them to try anything new. And often we are grazing, and there's okay to graze if we're doing it mindfully, but if we're grazing and snacking all day and then we expect our kid to sit down and try this new thing that we've prepared, chances are pretty low. They're not really very hungry anyway, so why would they try something new?
Right, if they've been eating, chips and popcorn and all different snacks all day,
Right.
that makes sense. They're not going to want to try
Right.
something new.
So if we think about this month, every year, Nutrition Month has a different slogan, and this slogan is take a bite out of a healthy lifestyle. So I really want to make sure that I mention also that food is important. We're saying take a bite, so there's the catch there, take a bite out of a healthy lifestyle. But they're really stressing lifestyle, and if we don't have activity, if we don't make this part of our lifestyle, we can't just do a diet. We can't just do a quick fix. Quick fixes don't work. Boot camps, diets, those things can motivate you,
Right.
but they can't be long-term. That can't be your long-term fix. So when you're talking about a family especially, or if you're talking about your own lifestyle, a lifestyle means how you're living and how we're living and how are we going to sustain that? How can you sustain those practices?
Right, so how do people do that? Not only eat healthy and exercise, and how do they combine all of that together?
Well, I think the best way to do that is to set some goals. Goal setting is of utmost importance when we're talking about behavior change. And that's really what we're talking about. If somebody is not doing this, but they want to start doing it, there needs to be a change that happens. So behavior change means you have to set a goal, and it has to be small, and it has to be reachable, and you have to be able to measure it. Set a goal that says once a week we're going to have a new food. Once a week we'll have a new food, and start from that. And then and I would say a physical activity and a nutrition goal, because that's really, even though we're nutrition experts, we know that just changing your diet is not going to change your whole health status.
Right, you have to add in the
You
exercise
have to have
as
the
well.
exercise also, or activity. If we don't want to see the E word, then we'll call it activity.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just taking small steps and saying, I'll do this today and that tomorrow, and then you just build upon those goals until you're where you're at.
And make it very reachable, because if we set a goal and continue to not meet that goal, which is pretty common in healthcare, we set these crazy goals, you need to get to this number, you need to get to this weight, and there's such a long term before we get there, we get frustrated and give up. Set a realistic goal and make it reachable and be confident. If you're not confident that you can do it, then you're probably not going to do it.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Melissa. But before we go with you really quickly, the event is March 24th.
Correct.
Correct. Where and what time?
March 24th at Northern Lights Arena. So we'll have the food samples around the arena, around the track potentially, but then the walking will be around the track or outdoors, and it'll be a great time for family to come out. We will have giveaways, and it'll just be a fun event. It's calling it our Taste Walk. So we had a snowshoe walk last month. We're doing a taste walk this month. We really want to give you opportunities of places to be active, but try new foods also. At 6 o'clock, Northern Lights Arena on March 24th.
All right. Thanks so much, Melissa.
Thank you.
And when we come back, we will be talking with an athletic trainer from ARMC. Welcome back to Insights, everyone. I'm here with Matt Pearl, who is an athletic trainer through AMRC. How are you?
Good, how are you?
First off, just tell us a little bit about what do you do as an athletic trainer?
Okay. As an athletic trainer, the biggest part of my job is injury prevention for student athletes at the high school. Most commonly, when people ask me, okay, what exactly does an athletic trainer do? I tell them, okay, if you're watching a football game on TV and a guy goes down the field and gets hurt, and these guys run out there and figure out what's wrong. So that's what I do. I do that for Alpena High School here. In addition to that, I see kids before practice, taping ankles, wrists, things of that sort. Also instilling some injury prevention programs, strength and conditioning programs, things like that. I'm really helping the athletes to perform at their best and take care of their bodies and keep them healthy and keep them on the playing field.
Now, I know you're very busy. Tell us about all of the sports that you're involved with.
Well, right now, winter sports are winding down. In the winter, I cover hockey, boys and girls basketball, and also wrestling. And then spring, I have baseball, softball, girls soccer, track, and also tennis. And then the fall, I do football, volleyball, cross country, and boys soccer.
So you're definitely busy every day of the week, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Usually there's 3 to 4 nights a week we have home sporting events.
So what would you say, I know every sport is a little bit different, but what are some ways that an athlete can prevent themselves from being injured?
One of the biggest thing that I stress to kids to prevent from being injured is to take care of their bodies. That comes with making sure you're in proper shape. If you have to come into the season and play your way into shape, you're setting yourself up for a lot higher risk of injury than if you were to spend your off season or spend the preseason kind of getting in shape and being ready for the long season that's to come. So that's a big part of it, is just educating athletes about their bodies and the needs of their sport and strengthening the right muscles and things like that. Taking care of their bodies too means eating right, sleeping right, everything like that. So it's a lot of it is a education piece on athletes to make sure that they take care of their bodies, and I'm doing what I can to help them. They need to do what they can to help themselves too.
So what are some of the exercises that each athlete could do to stay in shape in the off season?
I think one of the hardest part with that is that there's no one exercise that's best for every athlete or every sport. But one of the biggest things that I've always told kids is you want to work on a balance of strength. So if you're, a lot of guys and girls too go in the weight room, okay, I'm going to bench, and I'm going to curl, and I'm going to do these 2 or 3 things. Well, balance that out. I always tell people, make sure you're working the muscles in the back of your body. Make sure you're working your core and things like that. And the hardest part for some of these athletes, though, is they don't get a break. So I have athletes that go from cross country to basketball to softball. Well, their bodies haven't had a break since, mid-July. And even then, some of them play summer ball and things like that. So really, it's a matter of doing a little bit when you can for those athletes. But I really try to put a big focus on core strength. Making sure, because if the core is strong, everything feeds off the core. So, and a lot of injuries are attributed actually to core weakness. So just a lot of, things of planks and things of that sort. Real simple stuff that you don't need a ton of equipment for. It doesn't take a ton of time, yet it's pretty effective. I also do some strength and conditioning with the football team right now. So I'm really interested in, body weight stuff, doing a lot of plyometric training and things like that. But I always tell people it's not just, okay, do 1 or 2 things. You need to have a overall balanced exercise program in order to make sure we're as strong as can be and as healthy as can be. So not only will you be injury free, but you also know your performance will improve.
So it's just like with anything else, we need a balance.
Yes.
Now, for those who are 3 or 4 sport athletes, is that really difficult on the body to always be moving and practicing and playing?
It is, but at the same time, I feel that in my experience, I've seen more injuries in people that specialize in one sport. So people that play, volleyball year round. You're constantly using the same muscles and constantly doing the same movements. The body eventually will break down if you don't take care of it. Even the best professional athletes that play baseball and football for a living, chances are at one point or another they've had some sort of injury attributed to overuse. So that's why I always encourage kids, if they're thinking about trying a new sport, to go out and play. And sometimes it's good just to give that mental break too, to give yourself a break from volleyball or a break from baseball for 3-4 months, and you kind of go back to it, because that helps the kids too to keep that passion, that love of the game, versus it becomes more of a job at the age of 13, 14 when they're playing baseball year round and they don't get a break and things like that. And
it's then it kind of loses the fun.
Exactly,
sure.
And that's the big part of it, is taking the fun out of the athletics. And the athletics should be fun. They're designed to be fun for kids. And I think that it helps develop better athletes too when they play multiple sports. You always hear stories of guys that play in the NBA or guys that played in the MLB that, in track they ran sprints or they played basketball and once scored 40 points in a game. You actually hear that quite a bit. A lot of the best athletes didn't specialize. They played multiple sports year round.
Because it helped them to be more well-rounded.
Exactly. Getting back to the balance thing that we talked about.
Mm-hmm. Now let's talk a little bit about girls' sports. I know you said there's some different issues with girls who play sports featuring, body issues, for an example. What are some of those issues that you see?
Well, I think a lot of it comes with, our society puts a lot of pressure on females to look a certain way and to be a certain way. In appearance-centered sports such as volleyball, such as gymnastics and things like that, the girls' outfits and the girls' uniforms aren't as flattering or aren't necessarily they're a little bit different than they are in basketball and softball and things like that. So a lot of the girls do get self-conscious about that. So a lot of it is just, encouraging them to still eat right and exercise and things like that. Some girls in the past I've actually ran into, they get so worried about their appearance, they don't eat right, they don't eat enough, you know, and they start kind of really depriving their body the much needed fuel that it needs. So, and it's not just limited to girls' sports. I mean, boys' sports, there are eating disorders in boys' sports too. It's just that when people think of eating disorders and they think of, you know, body issues, that the girls are the first thing that comes to mind. So it's one of those things where you just, you know, parents need to be involved but not be helicopters, so to speak. So.
Right. All right, and before we go to commercial, do you have any last tips for athletes?
One of the biggest things for athletes is don't neglect the nutrition part of it. I know March is Nutrition Month. Nutrition plays an important role not only in performance enhancement, but also in exercise recovery and in just overall being a healthier individual. I mean, if you want to make strength gains and you want to perform better on the field, you know, nutrition is a big part of that. You know, I always relate it to a car can only go so far without the right type of gas.
Right.
If you don't fuel your body, you can only go so far before you're going to eventually, you know, run out of energy. So.
All right, well, thanks so much, Matt, for sharing all of your knowledge with us.
All right, you're welcome.
And stick around, we'll be right back after this. Welcome back to Insights, everyone. I'm here with Rick Person. How are you?
Fine, how are you?
Now, you're in charge of the cafeteria here at ARMC, correct?
Yes, I am.
Now, what do you do being in charge of the cafeteria?
Well, my role in particular is to, should I say, set production systems, basically run the kitchen. I have staff that is well equipped and very skilled and proceed with fresh and healthy menu items throughout the day and throughout the weeks. We run a 5-week menu cycle, and we're constantly changing it to provide new ideas and new menu ideas and new types of food all the time to educate people on healthy and what is healthy, but also the fact that some of the other items that you might have, you think of that may not be healthy, but if you eat in moderation, you can eat those too as be part of your healthy plan.
Now, I know you're always promoting health here in the cafeteria, but especially since it's Nutrition Month, what are you doing to promote that this month?
On Wednesdays, what we have is a particular new menu item that we found over the internet or cookbooks or whatnot, and try to adapt it to what we can do here, and basically have the recipe available for the customer to come through, plus also the ingredients, so that they can go find out what the ingredients are, go to the store and buy them if they choose to make it at home. The recipes are very simple and easy, so that just about anybody can really take the items and go home and make the same product that we're making here.
Now, what type of items have you made so far?
Well,
on
in
Wednesdays?
particular, last week was the first week we started, and we served an item called edamame pilaf. Okay, what it had in was wheat berries, pearl barley, a rice blend. There was vegetable or chicken broth associated with it, along with shelled sweet soybeans, which are edamame, red sweet pepper, chopped onions, butter, garlic, dried sage, ground black pepper, and it's optional if you want to add a marinated cooked chicken breast to go on top of that.
It sounds really good. I wish I would have been here to try it.
So it usually goes over very well because people are excited when they see new things. But we've come a long way in 3 years in regards to having customers try new things, okay, that they might not have tried before.
And I know earlier with Melissa we were talking about it's hard for people to change and actually try those new things.
It is. So therefore we have sampling sessions in the cafeteria on a day-to-day basis that we put out plastic black spoons where they can come, and if we have something new and you're kind of like, well, do I want to try this or not, that we'll give them a black spoon and say, here, try a piece or try a bite and see if you like it. And if you do, then they subsequently buy it. And if they don't, well, we'll try again.
And I'm sure it helps that for people who come in with their coworkers to eat lunch, their coworkers saying, you know, maybe just try this, it could be good.
And yes, it does. The word spreads, and if something is good and it's new, then word travels real quick. And a lot of times you're not anticipating that, and you have a tendency to, and I'll say, I shouldn't say this, but run out of that particular item because you're not anticipating how busy you're going to be with it.
Right.
Okay. In regards to the fresh and healthy, it's been an experience, tremendous improvement in the cafeteria. Like I said, I have skilled labor, staff back in the kitchen who have adapted to the situation very well, and we like trying new things.
And talking about the fresh and healthy, you actually buy local.
Yes, we do. The produce comes in every day of the week, Monday through Friday. We get delivery from also Gordon's, a food service distributor, 3 days a week. We also get produce from them. The milk is from the state of Michigan, and also some of the other things that we buy are from the state of Michigan. So all in all, 30% of what we buy is typically from the state of Michigan.
How is buying local, how has that improved the cafeteria?
Improve it by way of image, because of the fact that people know that they can get those things locally. Okay, so we're not serving something that they can't find in the grocery store, and that's helped.
So when they see the recipes, they know exactly where to go to get those ingredients.
Basically what it boils down to, yeah.
Now your cafeteria has actually been recognized in several magazines. Tell us about that.
Yes. Last summer, I had a phone call from a writer, journalist, and he got our name from the Michigan Hospital Association, okay, of which we have attained star for in regards to Healthy Hospital Initiative that they're presenting. And like I said, he got our name from them. So we, as the conversation went, he found out we were owned by the county, and so therefore he more or less peered into us because of that fact, because that's really what he was looking for. And the article basically talks about the fact that we're county owned, but we're also buying local, and who we are buying local from and why. And so it went through all the health sheet things. The fact that a couple of years ago we set up nutritional criteria in the cafeteria as to what we follow, to follow along with that nutritional things and the healthy things, such as we look at the amount of saturated fat we have, the amount of carbohydrates that we serve, the amount of sodium, and also the amount of calories that we serve. Okay. We also have a color-coded system whereby we have yellow yield signs for the things that aren't really that great for you, but you can try it in moderation. We also have green hearts, okay, and the green hearts are the ones that are healthy according to the nutritional criteria we've established, and we try to promote those.
So with that color coding system, anyone who comes into the cafeteria can immediately look and know
yes.
What is what?
Yes, they can. So we have, I'd say 95% of the items that we serve out there are on that color-coded system at this point.
How has that helped people decide what they want for lunch?
Well, it makes them look hard to find out, well, maybe some of the things that they thought that they shouldn't be eating before that are okay to have in moderation. Okay, I think that's where the education piece comes into play. But also, well, how many carbohydrates am I really eating? Okay, for the ones that are counting carbs, okay, for the ones that are counting saturated fat. The biggest item we found is and the hardest one to follow is the sodium, because sodium is in so many items.
It's in everything.
It's in everything. You can't get away from it, and that's part of it. And that's the biggest issue. But nobody really looks at sodium when they're looking at food items. And what we found through the whole process was, when you take fat out of items, okay, because everybody thinks, well, fat's bad for you, okay. Well, in order to get the flavor in that, you have to have some sort of sodium product.
You have to add the salt.
Yes, you
so
do.
You're not really doing yourself a service.
No, you're not. So what we try to do is get rid of the saturated fat, but also get rid of the sodium and add flavor back in by using herbs and spices.
That's definitely a smart approach. I think more people should try that in their daily lives.
And I think if you look at it that way and trying to increase the flavors, okay, by trying different flavors, that you can enhance the food instead of putting sodium on it or salt.
I know you've told us about all of these really good recipes that you guys are trying. Is the public allowed to come into the cafeteria
Sure,
to try those?
We're open in the morning at 6:30. We close again at 6 o'clock at night, and anybody from anywhere is allowed to come.
That's good to know that it's not just for staff, that
No,
I can
it's not
come in
just
and
for
try some
staff.
of these recipes.
The more community members we have, better it is, because word will spread, and we serve good food here.
It sounds like
Full-length salad bar. We do very well.
Sounds good. All right, well, thank you so much, Rick, for sharing all of your knowledge about the cafeteria. I think I'll come in this week and maybe try something new.
We'd love to see you.
All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Stick around for next week.
Insights into Northeast Michigan is produced by WBKB News. If you have any comments, suggestions, or topics you would like to see on a future show, please email WBKB News. This has been a production of Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation. All rights reserved.